Good afternoon, everyone. This is Brian Early, field agronomist with Pioneer, coming with a kind of different update for me. Something I have to do to myself is remind me to not get so wrapped up in what happened in one year and think about multiple years and repeatability. So I've got the human lightning rod on here, Roy Sullivan. He was a gentleman from Virginia that got struck by lightning 7 times. And actually, on the eighth time, he was putting clothes up with his wife, and she got struck with lightning, and ended up leaving poor Roy. And repeatability, planning ahead and thinking. What do you think Roy should have planned for? Lightning, that would be the obvious one, but Roy actually ended up dying from a gunshot wound. So the best we can plan, sometimes it just doesn't go how we see, but planning is very important anyway. So I've been keeping this list, looking from year to year, the big events that happen to crops. So you start looking through here, there's a hodgepodge of events through all the teens and then up into the 2020s here. And the only thing I see that really repeats out all these years from year to year. So if I'm planning for 26, is 25 going to be the most influential year, or is it going to be others? So just looking at the last few years, the only thing I see that is kind of a common theme is dry. So we've had different dry spells, but I say that tongue in cheek because if we were located just 100 miles south or 80 miles south, even, we would have had wet this year. So even that is very geographically sensitive as well. So once again, it was north central Indiana's turn to be dry this year. So in 25, the two big things that everybody talked about was so-called tassel wrap and then southern rust. So what are my thoughts on those actually repeating for 26, and should we plan on those? So this graphic right here really shapes up what happened this summer. So this is looking at average load and temperatures at night. And so basically, uh, if you look at a number one, means you had the hottest year out of 133 years. So if you look at the eastern corn belt from the Mississippi River to the Atlantic Ocean, everybody that produces corn in that geography had the hottest nights ever, or the highest low temperatures during the day. So you couple that with humidity, we saw some things happen in 25 because of this that we won't see again. So actually, the two things that I'm going to discuss, tassel wrap and southern rust, both were very influenced by this. So what is the repeatability on those two? Looking at tassel wrap, this phenomenon should not even have been named tassel wrap. So I went on quite a few calls, and what I saw was not a problem with not enough pollen, but too many silks. So we had plants that grew very aggressively, and then we had silks that were very aggressive because of the way the corn was growing. So we seen big mains of silks that was hard to get pollen down through, and that was took a while for the pollen to get through it, but as it turned out, everything pollinated okay, and that turned out to be a non-event. So I think forward to 26 and even 20 years down the road, do I think that we'll see this repeated anytime soon? To me, absolutely not. It's going to take the conditions exactly like we saw in 25. That is highly unlikely to have that kind of heat and humidity at night and that many growing degree units pushing the corn along as fast as it did. So I'm putting that in the not very likely category, and I definitely am not going to plan that for my crop in 26. Kind of a similar story with southern rust. So southern rust is a disease that likes the tropical climate, so it likes that heat and humidity. Got drug up to the Midwest pretty early this year and got a foothold quite a bit earlier than it normally has. And then you had all that heat and humidity that not only was pushing the corn along and those aggressive silks like I talked about, but also made the southern rust really take off. So in my career of doing this since 1997, I have never seen southern rust come up this early and take off like it did here. And so if we were in the deep south, that'd be a different story. But in this geography, this far north, have to take conditions exactly like we had in 25 to line up again. So this one is maybe a little more likely than tassel wrap or aggressive silking. But once again, I think this is very unlikely and definitely not going to plan for this disease. I'm going to plan for things like tar spot, gray leaf spot, northern, the diseases that we normally get, and not put my whole planning into planning for southern rust. So just something I wanted to share. It's good to remind yourself that I need to look at multiple years over what's happening. So if I had a hybrid that did good, if I had a hybrid that did bad, the chances of that being exactly the same in 26 as it was in 25, they're likely going to be different because the environmental conditions are going to be different too. And they're going to have a different response. So take everything you see this year with a grain of salt. I wouldn't say dismiss them outright, but look for trends year over year and look for things that tend to repeat themselves, either a good or bad way, and use that in your planning. So hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, like always, give us a call.